Today, our hardworking farmers, women farmers, young farmers, and everyone listening from various communities, welcome to the maiden edition of the Smart Farmers Corner, the program where we learn practical farming knowledge that improves our farms, protects our environment, and increase our harvest. Welcome to NAERLS Farming Smart Channel, where we bring you practical knowledge for better farming. Today's topic is very important because it is the foundation of farming itself. This program is brought to you by National Agricultural Extension Research and Liaison Services, NAERLS, in collaboration with Zaria Fertilizer, your partner in achieving better harvest. Our discussion today is titled Soil Fundamentals: Understanding Soil as a Living Ecosystem. Many people think soil is just dirt beneath our feet, but soil is actually alive. Soil is the living skin of our farmland. Healthy soil means healthy crops, healthy families, and better income. Today, we shall learn what soil really is. Soil is alive, how soil supports crops, how climate smart farming protects soil, how both men and women farmers can improve soil health, and simple practices farmers can use immediately. Kindly stay with us. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sir, can you please tell us your name, your department, and your area of specialization?
My name is Ishaku Amapu. I am a professor of soil fertility and system soil science. I work in the Department of Soil Science of the Faculty of Agriculture, which is also associated with the Institute for Agricultural Research at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria.
You're welcome, sir. Prof, sir, please can you tell us what is soil?
Let me start by saying that actually the term soil, which is also a very common one, has different meanings depending on who you meet. But for us that are in agriculture, soil is a medium for growing plants. But unfortunately, with the way people look at soil is so common, they don't seem to look at it as something that is very precious. Soil is not dirt. You know, you find dirt inside your fingernails. You find dirt on your clothes. Soil is more than that. Soil is actually a living ecosystem, and it's made up of basically about 4 components. And the components include the minerals, that is the rocks, the minerals and the rocks from where it is from. That is actually the frame upon which soil is based. It also contains organic matter. Organic matter is dead animals or plants that are rotted and become part of the soils. Therein you also have the organisms, small and big, including termites, including earthworms. You have bacteria, fungus, and so on. They are very, very important. The soil also has water and air because there are spaces inside soil, pore spaces. Those spaces are occupied either by water or by air. The microorganisms I have mentioned, many of them cannot be seen with the eyes, particularly the fungus, the termite, the bacteria, and some other microorganisms. Some like fungus, you can see them with the eye, you can see termites, you can see earthworms. They are so important that without them, the plants and the animals that die cannot decompose. They will continue to remain, but that with their help, those things are decomposed. And they are decomposed, and then they turn into what we call organic matter. Organic matter of the soil. Organic matter of the soil is sometimes described as the lifeblood of the soil. In essence, without organic matter, you do not have soil. Any soil that does not have organic matter is not soil at all. And organic matter is the basis of what you call a healthy soil. A healthy soil is that soil that has the capacity to actually provide for the plants, the animals, and human survival. So a healthy soil, you know, what a healthy soil does is that it can hold water, enough water for the plants to grow, for the nutrients to grow, to move inside the soil to the roots. A healthy soil has good aggregates that will not allow for the soil to be eroded, move from one place to the other. It supports the growth of roots. It helps a healthy soil will hold enough water so that even where there is drought, a slight drought, the plants can still do healthy, and at the end of it, of course, it improves the yields that to the farmer. And that is why farmers should ensure that they treat their soils very well. Is not an option if they really want their soil to remain healthy and sustainable, not only for themselves but their children and their children's children.
Thank you, sir. That leads us to the second question. Experts often describe soil as living skin of the earth. Why is this so? Can you please explain, sir?
Indeed, soil actually covers, the top part of the earth in some parts, not in all parts, because in some parts we have rocks and we have water. So where soils exist is just a thin cover of the earth. In fact, the most important portion of soil is just 0 to 5 cm from the top down. And even a very fertile soil, it doesn't go below 30 centimeters. And the skin is a very important organ in everything, including human beings. So also, if you look at the soil as a skin, it is also very important, and you cannot afford to allow it damaged. Unfortunately, sometimes in our quest to make more money for ourselves as farmers, they carry out bush burning. They apply chemicals. They remove the trees through deforestation. They grow the crops continuously. And sometimes they do unhealthy cultivation and sometimes put so many animals on it that it destroys the top of the skin of the soil. These are not good practice. In fact, some large-scale farmers, first of all, bulldoze the top of that soil and remove it somewhere. These are all unhealthy practices and do not make good, for soil health. So when all of these things happen, they create lots of problems. You find that the soil may become so hard that seed may be difficult, may not find it easy to germinate because the soil top surface may be covered. And sometimes it reduces the nutrient content so poorly that you see crops become yellow. And I've mentioned the fact that the soils can even get so hard that it will be difficult to even till, and sometimes plants that they find it difficult to emerge. And sometimes these practices increases soil erosion, and it can lead to more pests and diseases. Unfortunately, there's a current phenomenon known as climate change, which is making things worse. We have flooding, we have heat, we have drought and unpredictable rain. So we need to ensure that our soils are the skin is properly kept intact, so as to assist in the current effort of climate-smart agriculture.
Thank you, Prof.
My pleasure.
Prof, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Please, can you tell us your name, your area of specialization, and then your department?
Okay, my name is Professor Adamu Yakubu. I am a soil scientist by profession and extension agronomist by training. Here in the NRLS, I am in the crop and forestry program as the program leader.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, what is climate-smart agriculture? Can you shed more light?
Okay, thank you very much. These emerging technologies because of the issues of climate change. So climate-smart agriculture simply means farming methods that include increase in productivity, that helps farmers adapt to climate change, that protect the environment for future generations. So healthy soils is the center of climate smart farming. There are simple climate smart soil practices farmers can use, some of which are: number one, if I can itemize, we have mulching. Mulching refers to covering the soil with dry grasses, leaves, or crop residues, and this helps retain moisture, that's soil moisture, reduce heat on the soil, prevent crop erosion, feed soil organisms. In the soil there are organisms that help in nutrient cycling, that helps in unlocking nutrients for the crops. So the other one, that is the second one, is composting. Using compost and animal manure improves soil fertility naturally. Composting is something that maybe could be discussed as a topic of its own, because it requires step-by-step methods of decomposing organic matter to form compost that can now be used as nutrients. Then the third one, by preventing soil erosion and feeding soil organisms, mulching helps do all those ones. Then the second one is composting, which I said is using compost and animal. Aspect is crop rotation. This is a situation where we rotate crops on a piece of land so as to alternate feeding habits of crops and also control some pests and diseases, because certain pests and diseases are either facultative or rather either host specific or not. So those that are host specific, once you grow a crop this year they will appear, and next year when you grow another crop they will not appear because they are not the hosts. And the pests and diseases include both the weeds and then the animal pests. So I think the other one is minimum tillage to reduce destruction of the surface layer of the crops and as such minimize erosion, loss of organic matter, and so on. So all these ones are good practices that are climate smart.
Thank you, sir. So farmers do not always need expensive solutions. Sometimes protecting the soil itself is the biggest investment for farmers. And that leads us to the second question. Sir, participatory learning and farmers learning together, what does this mean?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, this is another important question. Participatory learning is a very important tool in agricultural extension because individual or separate learnings will not cover a lot of experience. When you have farmers sharing experience, asking questions, participating in demonstration practices, and learning from the experts, of course, you realize that they will get a lot of information in the aspect of technology transfer, in the areas of understanding good agronomic practices, and so on. So most of these participatory practices are farmers field school, community learning and demonstration, and so on, where farmers come together and they share ideas with a facilitator who will guide or lead discussions. So at the end of it, you have a participatory discussion and insights are shared together. So participatory farmers learning is a very important tool in agricultural extension.
Thank you, sir. And that leads us to your explanation. Very true. Agriculture grows better when nobody is left behind.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Please, ma, can you introduce yourself, name, your area of specialization, and then your department?
My name is Aisha Abdelkadir, and I'm a professor of soil science with specialization in soil physics, and I'm in the Department of Soil Science in the Faculty of Agriculture, ABU Zaria.
You're welcome, ma.
Thank you.
Prof, what can you say on gender inclusion in soil management?
Okay, thank you very much. When you ask this question, we want to first understand what is soil management. And soil management are all those activities that we do when we are planning to carry out farming activities, especially in area of land preparation and other manipulations of the soil that are leading to the good production, and with a hope of subsequent good harvest. So the gender inclusivity in this particular regard is mainly in the land preparation phase. You see that in some cultures or tradition around in Nigeria, you see female are involved in the preparation of the soil in terms of clearing it, in terms of tillage, making all the ridges and other things. Other management practices that you also see in the gender inclusivity is in the aspect of planting. Female are involved in sowing or planting of the crop material, and they are also involved in the weeding when they are going to clear the land from weeds so that it will not compete with the crop, as well as majorly you will see even the female participating in harvesting. They are involved in harvesting. You see them cutting, or they are also peeling out maybe if it is a maize, they are peeling out the maize cob. So they are very much involved in that aspect. Another aspect is general soil management. For example, there may be times that there will be molding up. There will be times that they need to go around the field to see what is happening. You see some form of engagement of the female. And sometimes when you say gender inclusivity, we also involve the youths, different age groups. So you see also a significant portion of the youths having participation in these activities that I mentioned. But majorly you see the female very much involved in these activities.
Thank you, Prof. You've mentioned quite a number of activities that women engage in during farming. But are there challenges that women face?
Yeah, sure. Mostly the female are challenged with in the terms of access to credits, access to inputs, access to even the land itself, and access to good extension services. So the females are actually having this challenge. They are not really very much in the forefront in accessing things that I have mentioned. So it's a serious limitation, despite that the females involved in these agricultural activities, but probably you see them as just laborers, but not actually the owners or those that also move farm operations. There are some few exceptions where you find some female that are actively engaged in this and maybe have some level of access to resources, but it is still not up to the expectation. This is something that the policy has to look into to see that there are special allocations that are directly sidelined for female to access, not putting them with the mainstream male farmers that will not allow them to do that. These are the major limitations for them in their involvement. Another one is the females are actually vulnerable to effects of climate change because of these poor accesses to the resources. So they are more vulnerable to be hit by any kind of problems that can arise from climate change, like flooding or terms of drought or other things. So you can see how it can directly involve them. If they are making some form of livelihood in farming operations and then this kind of natural hazards take place, they will be the first to be hit because they will lose out. Now they don't have access to those resources or land and they depend on some of these farm operations to survive, and then the effect of climate change comes and it also makes them more vulnerable. So these are all those challenges that female farmers face.
Thank you, Prof. What if or when women receive equal access to farm inputs, what are the outcomes?
It's expected that the outcome is going to be huge. There was a write-up I read from FAO that mentioned that 60% of what is being produced in Nigeria is actually being contributed by female farmers. And when I say that, it's not just the production, but considering all the aspects of the value chain that they are involved with. So you can see 60% is significant. And when you convert that 60% to monetary terms, you now see that you can even see that it's contributing 60% to the agricultural economy of the country. So if they have equal access to these inputs that we are mentioning or finances, it means that there is going to be increase in productivity, increases in their resilience and in the income generation for farm households or farm households. So these are some of the things that is expected as long as women have some of this equal access.
Thank you very much, Prof. That is leading us to the next question. What practical soil care tips can you give to farmers?
Okay, like now we are talking about improving the human capacity or knowledge on soil health. So before I go down into the question, we want to understand what soil health. You know that a healthy soil is one that has a good proportion of all the basic things there: water, air, nutrients, microorganisms, and that these microorganisms give life to the soil. These microorganisms can be form of macro or micro. They can be either bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes, they are cyanobacteria, different forms of these microbes, and those that are not even visible. The nematodes are visible and they are pathogenic ones and the beneficial ones. So they all form. The ones that you can see can be termites, earthworms, or other form of worms and insects that move around into the soil. So you need to maintain this healthy soil, and you cannot have a healthy soil that does not have good amount of organic matter, because these things I just mentioned, these macro or microorganisms or macroorganisms actually feed on this organic matter. So one of the key things in terms of sustainable soil management for maintaining a healthy soil is to maintain a good amount of organic matter in the soil, or engage in all those other practices that can build organic matter. For example, when you apply compost directly, or organic farmyard manure, or other forms of organic manure like cow dung, poultry manure, like sheep droppings and other things, they all form in organic inputs into the soil. The second thing can be the application of leaving crop residues on the field. Keeping good amount of crop residues will leave those organic materials that the crop can feed on. Practicing minimum tillage, adequate using of a crop rotation, so that you are incorporating legumes into a cereal-based systems that can ensure a good nutrient cycling, are all management practices that can help in maintaining a healthy soil and good crop production.
Thank you, ma.
So here for practical soil care tips, we can advise that farmers should avoid bush burning. They should be using compost and animal manure. They should practice crop rotation. Then they can use cover crops. They can also reduce excessive tillage. They can control erosion with ridges and vegetation and mulches. They can also keep crop residue on the field. They can plant trees around their farms where possible, and they can avoid overuse of chemicals. So these are some of the practical care tips that farmers can use to take care of their soil.
Thank you very much, Prof. Let us all work together, men, women, youths, extension workers, and community leaders, to protect our soil and promote climate-smart agriculture. This program has been brought to you by Zaria Fertilizer, your partner in productive farming. For more information about Zaria Fertilizer, kindly reach out to this contact on 080-3715-4428. Join us next time on NAERLS Farming Smart Channel for more practical farming tips. Thank you for listening to the Smart Farmers Corner. Join us again next week for another practical farming discussion. Until then, keep farming smart and keep your soil alive.